disaster strikes. Yeah, of when disaster strikes.
Thank you very much, Joseph Fadul, and good evening to you, Dominica, and the rest of the Eastern Caribbean. Those of you listening to us via Vibes Radio, the other radio stations, that is Q95 FM radio, also Kyrie FM radio, acoustic, and of course, Voice of Life radio. We are here in the studios of DBS Radio, and of course, we have a simulcast, and we want to say thank you to the various managers of the various radio stations who has agreed to accommodate us here this evening as we continue to bring you details and updates of Tropical Storm Jerry. At 5 p.m., the center of Tropical Storm Jerry was located near latitude 17.3 north and longitude 60.6 west, approximately 140 miles northeast of Dominica. Jerry is moving towards the west-northwest at 18 miles per hour with maximum sustained winds of 65 miles per hour and a minimum central pressure of 999 millibars. Tonight, basically, in studios with me is the Senior Met Officer, Marshal Alexander, and Disaster Preparedness Coordinator, Fitzroy Pascal. And of course, a little later on, we are going to be joined by the Minister of National Security, the Honorable Rayburn Blackmore. And as we get ready to basically let our listeners know what is going on, we also want to remind you that, look, given all that is happening, just remember that a flood watch is in effect and has been in effect from 2 p.m. today at 12 noon, and with an upgrade of warning possibly this evening. That is, if conditions warrant, residents and interests in Dominica should continue to monitor closely the progress of Tropical Storm Jerry and take the necessary precautions. Gentlemen, good evening. We are here again. We were there just about a day and a half ago, and we are here again. Welcome again to the studios of DBS Radio, to this entire situation. Marshal, Senior Met Officer, good evening, and maybe you can break the ice and give our listeners a little update as to where the storm is at this point in time and what they should expect. Get yourself a little closer to the mic. Right.
Yes. Good evening to all the listeners of DBS Radio and to the other radio stations and those on Facebook as well. Well, I think you said most of it.
Yeah.
So just to say that the center of Tropical Storm Jerry is presently exactly to the east of Guadeloupe right now, and it is about 140 miles to the northeast of Dominica, and that system continues to move away, or the center of the system continues to move away from Dominica, that is moving west-northwest at about 18 miles per hour with maximum sustained winds near 65 miles per hour. However, we are looking at an area of showers to the southeast of that system, which is pulling up to the northwest. So we are monitoring, because as I mentioned before, that our concern is for the potential for heavy showers and also rough seas, which has already been manifested on the east as well. So our concern now is for showers, moderate to heavy at times, and as a result, a flood watch has been issued from 2 p.m. today until 12 noon tomorrow, and also a small craft warning and a high surf advisory are in effect for rough seas. So we're advising people in areas prone to flooding, landslides, and falling rocks to be on alert and to exercise caution, and also mariners or fishermen are advised to stay in port. Sea beavers are advised to stay out of the water, as we expect to see some rough seas and also some breaking wave action. So seas could peak up to 12 feet on the eastern coast in particular. So we're advising people living near to or traversing coastal areas to be on alert and to exercise caution. Basically, I can say that we are out of the woods in terms of experiencing any tropical storm force winds, but we can expect some gust in due to the presence of feeder bands from that tropical storm Jerry.
Thank you very much, Marshal. Fitzroy, we have been always advocating fisher folks and persons in low-lying areas to do the necessary. From the ODM standpoint, what do you have to say to them tonight?
I think I woke you up this morning at 4 o'clock.
You did?
Yeah.
Well, when you rang my phone, I was already up. I told you I was cooking, right?
Yeah.
Yes, good.
Yeah, so just to say that we take this business seriously. We were there yesterday speaking to the development of Tropical Storm Jerry. And we're back again this evening, not to create any panic, but like Marshall, he used a big phrase, out of the woods. But I would say to bring better news that the system is now moving away from Dominica. That is the center. And I think Marshall mentioned 140 miles away from Dominica. So every hour, every minute, the center will continue to move away from Dominica. So that is definitely good news for us. But however, we still have to pay attention to any pockets of rainfall events which exist to the south of the center, and also sea action that we have been seeing both on the west coast and the east coast, but more on the east coast. We did mention to mariners yesterday that they should secure their vessels. Those on the west coast, probably some simple tying of their vessels, and those on the east coast should really remove their vessels from the water. I think the mariners did take heed, and we did have a call with the fisheries division and the staff of that unit. In terms of the rainfall event, the Met Office has issued a flash flood watch for this evening, tonight, into tomorrow, and this means that flooding is possible. So we asking persons to stay away from waterways, rivers, ravines, and if you do have to traverse areas that are prone to flooding, that you should exercise extreme caution.
I love that word, extreme caution. That's the operative word. Because, sometimes people just move about and do things, and they extreme caution.
And we're not telling people to stay home.
No, we are not saying that. And we are also not saying to them,
whilst you move around on your normal duties, that you should exercise extreme caution.
And we are not saying to them to leave their homes to come out and take photos. We are not saying that either.
And we want to discourage that because we just saw a video from the northeast.
From the northeast, yes.
Where persons were playing around in the wave action of the sea. So that can be very dangerous, and we want to discourage that totally.
Indeed. So, we also, a little later down in the program, we will have an interactive session. We will ask you to call us, so stay tuned. We are not ready yet for you to call us as we continue, because we will be joined a little while from now by the Minister of National Security, the Honorable Rayburn Blackmore, and who's doing a fantastic job ensuring that we are on our P's and Q's.
I wanted to use the phrase, keeping us on our toes.
On our P's and Q's.
But leadership is excellent, and I want to say hats off to the Honorable Minister and the PS and the staff for the tremendous support, and also the staff of the Met Service and the ODM for always willing to come out and go beyond the call of duty whenever
over and beyond Fitzroy.
So, over and beyond.
Yeah, because, you like you said, you called me at whatever time it was, and then we worked together. And it's a whole collaborative effort.
And it's not an 8 to 4 job.
It is not. And as we continue to educate our public, let them know what is happening, and ensuring that they do not get over anxious. Don't get over anxious, because we are there to provide you with the information. Marshal, you have some information for us also?
Oh, well,
a picture says 1,000 words.
Yes,
pictures.
We're
not yet able to put that up on the screen.
Yes,
so
in a little while.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
In a little while, we will have some screen information for you as we go along to let you know what is happening. But when I was coming from work this afternoon, I saw persons from the Mao area pulling up, that's fisher folks, and I was extremely proud. They were pulling up the boats because, you know,
Not too long ago we had a session with them.
again. And those persons from that area, I must say they are always very, very cooperative. They always ensure that when we talk to them, they listen and that sort of thing. Also, I want to remind even persons from especially Point Michel and Collio, those areas where ravines are surging and can surge, they need to ensure that they take the necessary precaution. Do not take things for granted and think, well, okay, well, nothing will happen tonight. Well,
And Kale, we have actually activated the EOC,
here you go.
the Emergency Operations Center, from 7 p.m. tonight. Not that we're under any immediate threat, watch or warning, but we will, the staff of both the ODM and the Met Service will stay through overnight, physical presence in the office and monitor the equipment, particularly the rain gauges that are spread across the island, so we can determine what quantity of rainfall has transpired overnight. And that, of course, will determine what happens tomorrow.
What happens tomorrow? You see, exactly. So you see, people must understand that we are not sleeping.
Yeah, we're not just playing it by ear.
Yes.
We're actually dealing with the numbers.
And you and myself, we've been on the ball, and Fitzroy, and Marshall, we've been on the ball from early o'clock, and we've been at it. But just to remind you that we are here in the studios of DBS Radio in a simulcast as we continue to bring you the information. We want to again thank our various managers of the various radio stations, Vibes Radio, Q95, and of course Kyrie FM, DBS Radio Manager, and Acoustic, and the other radio stations who has decided to shelve the various programs to ensure that, you know, we have this program here this evening. And of course, DBS would have been having the news this evening. But of course, they decided that, look, it is something of national importance, and they have to ensure that we get it going. I also spoke earlier on Fitzroy with the officials of SIDEMA,
Okay.
who called me they wanted to find out what was the situation here in Dominica, and I did give them an update, and I think they are also listening to us. I told them that we're going to be live, so they're listening to us to find out what we are doing, how things are progressing with us in Dominica. So those things, people need to understand those things to know that we are not just doing things, we are out there in a central location, but we are working together as a team.
Yes, we're not working in isolation. We're working with all our partners and stakeholders and responders, particularly the CDMA, like you mentioned. And I did speak with Mr. Pinder, who is the program officer for preparedness and response,
Yes.
and just to say exactly what we were doing, although we were not under any tropical storm watch or warning, but we have taken precautionary measures. We have executed certain actions, and we have made certain recommendations also.
Wonderful. And as we continue to bring you the update, I'm just waiting. Very soon we should get a call from the Honorable Minister of National Security, Mr. Rayburn Blackmore, who is expected to call us so he can interact with us. Of course, you know that the minister has always been and continues to be an integral part of whatever we do at the office at the ODM, and of course the Met Office. So the minister will be calling us in a little while to ensure that, you know, he puts his 2 cents to it to ensure that, hey, I am there with you guys. And we always say thank you to the Honorable Minister. Again, we are here live in the studios of DBS Radio, and we are with this simulcast, and we just
I begging you live a free pure Dominican lifestyle for man, woman and child. I begging you live a free pure Dominican lifestyle for man, woman and child.
Yes, we are back. Sorry, we had just a little break there. So now, Marshall, we have some further information, some screenshots, so those persons on Facebook can get a real appreciation of what is going on. I hand it over to you now so we can get those persons out there to really get a true appreciation of the feeder bands and what is really going on at this point in time.
Okay, and that is for the people on
yes, on Facebook.
Facebook.
Yes.
Yes. So what we are showing here is visible satellite imagery of the movement of the clouds associated with that tropical storm Jerry. Is it being shown on the screen?
Can we get it up on the screen? Yeah, we're just getting it on the screen for you in a little while. So we'll get it on the screen for you very shortly. Technology being what it is, you know, sometimes things work very quickly. Sometimes there are a few delays. Yeah. So what we'll do, we'll probably take another quick break as we get that rectified.
I begging you live a free pure Dominican lifestyle for man, woman and child. I begging you live a free pure Dominican lifestyle for man, woman and child. For when disaster strikes, yeah, for when disaster strikes, oh, yeah. I begging you live a free pure Dominican lifestyle for man, woman and child. I begging you live a free pure Dominican lifestyle for man, woman and child. For when disaster strikes, yeah, for when disaster strikes, oh, yeah. I begging you live a free pure Dominican lifestyle for man, woman and child. I begging you live a free pure Dominican lifestyle for man, woman and child. For when disaster strikes, yeah, for when disaster strikes, oh, yeah. I begging you live a free pure Dominican lifestyle for man, woman and child. I begging you live a free pure Dominican lifestyle for man, woman and child. For when disaster strikes, yeah, for when disaster strikes, oh, yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. We seem to have gotten things all sorted out. So we are now back live again to have continuing our discussion, and we were speaking about Marshall having some stuff on screen so you would be able to see exactly what is going on and the graphics as it relates to Tropical Storm Jerry. So we are now showing the graphics of Tropical Storm Jerry as we continue our discussion here. Right? Yeah. Here we go. Thank you very much. Marshall, is over to you.
Okay, what we are looking at here for the viewers is a visible satellite imagery of the clouds associated with Tropical Storm Jerry. You can see also some blow-ups of thunderstorm cells in the region of that cyclone or tropical storm here, and you can see that that cyclone is pulling towards the northwest, just to the east of the Northern Leeward Islands, as was projected. So also you can see to the south of the movement of that system, and there's an area of thunderstorm cells in the region of the south, and that is just to the east and southeast of Dominica, and this is the area that we are concerned about. So if we look again at the radar, radar is not showing up.
Okay, yeah, the radar across there. Yeah. Yeah. So
we are only able to see the satellite.
the satellite imagery, right?
Yes. So what it really shows is the clouds, or the movement of clouds, and the blobs of thunderstorm cells. So you can see those dense patches blowing up, which looks like popcorn, and this features represents thunderstorm cells. So within those you would find moderate to heavy showers as well as thunderstorm activity, and that is located to the east and southeast of Dominica. So as I mentioned earlier, again, the concern is for showers associated with that area of moderate of towering cumulonimbus clouds, which would produce areas of moderate to heavy showers and thunderstorms.
Yes, definitely. So we expect again the Honorable Minister to call us. He should be calling. Yes, the Honorable Minister is on the line. Mr. Blackmore, good evening to you, Honorable Minister. Thank you so very much for joining us. And we really want to say thank you to you and appreciate all the work that you are doing with us. Welcome again to the program, and give us your own feedback as to how things are going on, sir.
Well, good evening to all listeners. Good evening, Carla, and good evening to Marshal and PASCAL and the management and team of the radio stations that are actually with us tonight. I'm listening and viewing at the same time as an ordinary Dominican. And I'm saying to myself that you have a number of people who are listening via the radio sets and may not have access to any visual, you know. So I think if we can make the information flow, I don't want to insert myself, but the information flow like the last time, because not everybody can see the images when you're showing the images on the satellite. But I wanted just to call to give my support to what you guys are doing, and of course the support of the government of Dominica, because the government of Dominica places, you know, a significant value on med services and the whole effort in the disaster management and mitigation and response. And I think we have to learn from our past experiences. So, notwithstanding the fact that you're making reference to how far the center currently is away from us, I think it's important for us to continue to remind the listeners that they have to continue to exercise caution. And based on the investment we have made in our river level gauges and rain gauges, etc., or full automatic station, automatic weather station, you're able to sit in your offices and actually educate the public and to actually observe the water elevation, etc., of rivers, etc., and other elevations. But I think it's important for us to try to inculcate in the minds of the listeners that, notwithstanding the fact that the center has left us, and a number of people have messaged me and said that, okay, we placed a watch, but no rain. And I think it's important that is put into context and perspective, therefore, that when you put a watch it doesn't mean that you will get rain or flood, but the possibility exists as opposed to warning. But again, I think you need to put it in the context, Marshall and Mr. Fitzroy, as to tell you, let the people know that yes, we may not have seen rain and now, or the possibility of having rain, especially to the tail end of the system, and all it takes is a ban to give a couple inches of rain. And I think we need to also please focus on the fact that a number of areas where we have construction taking place, road construction taking place in some areas. And based on what you're observing, Marshall and Fitzroy, where the rain is expected to be more concentrated, and what are the consequences or the possible consequences in places like the Castlebush area and Good Hope area, areas there, not areas that are vulnerable, areas where roads are being built right now, as the travel is going up to Grand Bay and Peachland, these areas there. And these are areas, of course, we need to exercise caution, especially during the night. Because if all we need is a ban, serious ban, and you can get some serious rain. And I think it's important for us not to lay down our guards, because we have not seen the rain that we expected, the rainfall, that we expected. And of course, as you have heard from Mr. Marshall and Mr. Fitzroy, the rain, in terms of its concentration and intensity, will be more pronounced based on what you're seeing during the course of the night and into the next day, and possibly Friday too, into Saturday.
Yes, indeed, Mr. Minister. You've made some significant points, and of course, I will allow them to basically, reiterate the points that you've raised as it relates to where we expect the rain to be more pronounced. We know in the area of Marigot, we've seen a lot of heavy sea swells, and this is one of the things that we want to also remind our listeners, that the seas are raging. So some people seem to be taking it for granted that, look, the seas maybe in Roseau is okay. But we need to also let them know that if they follow what exactly we are saying, they will see where the seas are raging. So I will allow Marshall to basically expound further on some of the points that you've raised. Marshall.
Well, in terms of the rainfall right now, we are seeing that most of the moderate heavy showers are off to the east of Dominica, and in that circulation you have the rain moving in from the in from the west. So there is a circulation along the center or the eye of the storm, and you have some pockets of showers coming in from the west. So you would notice, you probably noticed during the day that the clouds were moving from west to east instead of the normal pattern of going from east to west. So you would see some pockets of showers coming in from the west. However, by tonight or during tonight, as the system pulls away, we would see, or we would expect to see, showers increasing from the south as the system continues to pull that area of showers behind it to the north. So we could see showers being experienced beginning in the south and moving up to the north. But we are seeing some pockets of light to moderate showers coming in from the west at present. So I'm looking at the radar right now, and that's what I'm seeing now.
Yeah, Mr. Minister, you also raised a very interesting point that some people are saying, well, hey, we were expecting rain and we are not seeing the rain. I also want to bring,
Yeah, well, as you mentioned rightly, that the meaning of a flood warning, of a flood watch, would mean that the rainfall or flooding is possible. And that is the key word here. The key word here is possible. So when you say possible, that doesn't mean that it will happen. That means that, as the word says, it's the possibility of happening.
That's the operative word.
Right. So as long as there's the risk and there's a possibility of flooding, then we would issue a flood watch. And if the event is expected, then we would issue a flood warning. That means it is imminent. So that's the difference between a flood watch and a flood warning. So a flood watch is basically a cautionary statement to say that the flooding is possible due to the threat of moderate to heavy rainfall.
Mr. Minister, you still with us?
Yes,
Yeah, but
yes,
we have to
I'm
also
listening.
we have to also remember that the flood watch was issued at 2 p.m. today, and it goes up to 12 noon tomorrow. So the time is not up for that flood watch. So we are still monitoring, and there is still the possibility, and I stress the word possibility, of increased shower activity during that period.
You want to add any further thing to what Marshall has said earlier on?
No, the fact is, I cannot qualify what they have said because they are the experts. So
That's
they
good.
can
I like that. Yeah.
And listen to the advice. I'm just listening to some questions so that the public can have a better
Understanding.
appreciation, understanding of their responsibility and what they should look out for. To say further, I've gotten a few messages talking about as to whether we're going to see the closing of schools. That's always the case. I can recall some years ago, it was a career festival event, and we literally had flooding taking place in the eastern part of the country. People were flooding, and people were still driving to the parking. But so, on a more serious note, though, I think we have to continue to monitor and to wait on the advice of Marshall and Mr. Pascal, insofar as to advise us whether they'll be school or no school. It's too early for that. One of the things that we have to do better is if they're going to take a decision that they will be no school, I think we have to give the public and parents adequate time. Because sometimes, not sometimes, I mean, doing it at 6 o'clock in the morning, most of the students who are living far away from the schools, would have gotten prepared on a bus and traveled into, the possible hazard to go to school or to go back to home. So that is why we have to ensure that we are more proactive in providing information. So the intention is, once the information is available, the advice is available, and it makes sense to have it done sometimes tonight. But we have not gotten there yet. One of the things, Fitzroy, that we have to do, I may want to say to continue to do, I know a number of training workshops actually took place this year in working with the private sector and people within the public sector to develop their hurricane plan. That is critical. And I believe I'm saying so within the context that in terms of how we go about going forward, to have a system in place, some kind of protocol as to how they proceed to shut down schools. Because you may have a situation, a water event, and then we have the infrastructure, the equipment to tell us where the rain is going to be heavier. The rainfall, is going to be heavier. And the areas that are more vulnerable. For example, in the Protect, in the Casablanca area, kind of territory, etc. And you may have heavier rain there, and it is very vulnerable. But are we going to have the same kind of impact in the Roseau area or the West Coast? Do you get my point, Fitzroy?
Yes, sir.
And what does it mean, therefore? So I believe it's a living experience. And so this blanket shutting of school is something that I think that we have to guard against and ensure that we have systems in place to do that in a systematic manner. So these are some of the things, of course, we have to perfect, and that we're going to call for greater collaboration between the ODM and the Ministry of Education.
Wonderful point. I I've been thinking about that because sometimes a whole shutdown of the school system, and where it only affects a pocket of Dominica. So I think moving forward, that is something that, of course, the authorities will want to look at?
Now, another point I would like to ask, question I'd like to ask the Marshal, in terms of the system and the wind force or strength, and the radius of that system, there's absolutely no threat from the observation. So the people of Dominica should not be fearful of any possibility of any wind, of any storm.
Well, that's correct. That's correct. That because what we usually look at is the sustained winds, which is the average wind speed over 1 minute. And you know that when the average wind speed of the sustained winds reaches 49 miles per hour, then the system is classified as a tropical storm, and that is between 39 and 73 miles per hour. So we are not anticipating sustained winds between 39 and 73 miles per hour during the coming hours or associated with that storm. However, we can see some gusts associated, but not expected to be to tropical storm force.
Now, can I ask though, if I may, in terms of the center of that system, relative to Dominica's location, where is the center of the storm right now as we speak?
Okay. Earlier I mentioned that the center of the storm was east of Guadeloupe, and it was located at a distance about 140 miles to the northeast of Dominica, and it continues to move away from Dominica. So the distance continues to increase.
Yeah, so what does that mean relative to what you just said about gust and wind? And so if it's that far, the center, away from Dominica, if it's passing away from Guadeloupe, what are the implications for us in terms of wind?
Well, the implication for us in terms of wind, as I mentioned, is only gusts. And when you have the presence of thunderstorm cells, which produces heavy showers, there is what is called a downdraft. So that downdraft coming from those thunderstorm cells would result in sudden bursts of winds, which we call gust.
But if I may add, the risk is certainly decreasing as the center moves away from Dominica. The risk for any sort of wind, whether it be sustained wind or whether it be gusts, winds in gust, is certainly decreasing. And just to come back to what the minister said about our training, we have been doing sector-specific training with both the private sector and the government agencies. And I think Carla mentioned it, that we will do more with the Ministry of Education to ensure that we have these structure or the SOPs in place to ensure we minimize this sort of deliberation which comes around every time we have these adverse weather conditions.
Yeah, another thing is that the extent of tropical force winds based on the advisory is 175 miles to the east of the center. And some people might ask, why are we not getting tropical storm force winds? But it specifies that the extent is 175 miles mainly to the east of the center, and Dominica is 140 miles from the center. So that means definitely that tropical storm force wind just does not extend that far on the western side of the system.
Well, it's important to underscore this thing for the ordinary man and understand. And I think that is the intention of the engagement here tonight.
That's why we're breaking it down into layman's language.
Yes, so it's actually important that we do that. And I want to commend you guys for that effort. And let me again say that you have my full support. You have the full support of the government and cabinet. And we'll continue to provide the resources that you need to ensure that you get it right. And to build that public trust that is so critical to giving you the confidence that you need to have to make a better presence of the state. Just to say, and just to say before I leave, is that one of the things on Carl Island we have been doing, net services have so many books, but the information contained in those books is actually critical.
Yes.
And then, so currently there's a project so where a young lady is being engaged and doing a data rescue project, which simply means collecting all the information from the book and putting them into an electronic data system. And so that will allow for even greater redundancy. And I believe that to make sure that the information is preserved. And so these are all the things that the government is doing, and to ensure that we have a much services, that is actually second to none. And tremendous money has been spent, as I said just now, in automatic and weather stations located for the country. Maybe you want to give us an idea as to how many of the stations that you have. Marshall, you have rain level gauges, river level gauges, which means that you can stay at ODM, you can stay at the Met Office, and actually monitor the levels of the rivers, for the country. And I think that is tremendous in terms of the gains we have made post-marriage. So I want to say again as I end, and I'm going to continue listening to you guys, and we're going to do it up for the whole night. That's how it is. So I wait on your advice, and the good thing for us is that we are being spared from the possible heavy impact of the wind.
That is correct. To God be the glory. To God be the glory.
Yeah. I do not think we can go for next marriage and anything true.
That's correct, yes.
And psychologically and in other forms. And I believe that that program that we did, Marshall and I told not there, and Pascal with the Cuban recently, I think that's really improved in the capacity of the health services to give you a better appreciation and understanding as to how do you localize, a rain event, and to say to the public of the rain behavior in that locality. And we were not able to, could not have done that, without the support of the Cuban government. And by providing, satellites, and providing the training, what we call, to help us to actually gather the kind of data that we gather, or what is referred to as a high resolution model. I believe that we will continue to go places and continue to add to the infrastructure and the services. Have a nice night, Harrison, and I would wait on you guys' call.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. We always appreciate your support. We know that you have always been supporting us, and your ministry has always been supporting us. And we want to say extremely grateful we are for your support in this venture. Before I go to just to say a quick show, I know that you had to call the manager of the shelter in Casablanca. Although from what I've been advised, there's no need to open in the shelter. But because of the situation in areas like Good Hope and the low-lying areas in Casablanca, those of you who may want to go get to safer ground, just as a cautionary measure. And this guy is always on the ball. So to ensure that you get yourself in a safer place. And the shelter is always available in Casablanca for that purpose.
So you are correct. The shelter was opened as of 6 p.m. this evening to accommodate anyone who requires sheltering.
Thank you very much. Again, thank you very much, Mr. Minister, and we really appreciate your always support for us in that endeavor. Fitzroy and Marshall, we have to wrap up in the next 5 minutes. We want your sort of final input as we continue to give our listeners the latest coordinates as we wrap up here this evening.
Okay, as I mentioned earlier, the system or the center of Tropical Storm Jerry is moving away from Dominica. So that's good news as it relates to the expectation of any tropical storm force winds, and we are not under any tropical storm watch at this time due to the low probability of experiencing tropical storm force winds. And I must say that communication is very important, and I think we do communicate with the public in a very good way, and we do that through our Facebook. We do weather broadcasts at our studios in Jimit, and this information is communicated to the public via Facebook, Instagram, as well as our WhatsApp channel. And we also have our website, www.weather.gov.dm. So we are always abreast and giving information to the public, also via the various radio stations, including DBS Radio. So we just want to advise the public to continue to listen to the information and also act on the information. So listening is one thing, but acting on the information is another. So that completes the cycle. Again, I'd like to say thank you to all the staff for their hard work as we continue to move forward for the development and progress of the service in an effort to saving life and property.
Fitzroy?
We continue to provide the information. We ask that residents continue monitoring together with us and exercise caution while you go around on your normal duties.
Thank you very much, and we want to say thank you very much to all our various radio stations who has been with us. We want to say thank you to the management and staff of all the various radio stations. Be safe, and once again, thank you very much for joining us. Until next time, we say stay safe and have a pleasant evening.